What are you telling me, man? Kurt Vonnegut, Arthur Clarke, H.G. Wells, David Wong.
Everybody's very eclectic, and what I really loved about it, especially, was the diversity. I mean, there's a guy, Morgan Freeman's in this story, guys.
Soy sauce? I put that shit on everything.
Loves youth culture, and that it's all about that Gen X attitude.
David Wong. You decipher, is this another throwaway dick joke, or is it just a deeper meaning, allegory, if you will, for the male fragility and its self-consciousness and how to deal with real-world problems?
You know, and that's what this book has. It's got that kind of fucking swerve. I don't even know what else to say.
Do you ever stop for 1 second as you're reading this novel and just think, what is the meaning of the shadow people?
Whoa. Are you talking about Israel and Palestine?
How is it not just the existential dread of the patriarchy?
It puts literally culture on trial. Larger meta-narrative about toxic masculinity, about the male gaze, about bisexuality.
David Wong.
I said, I don't know if I trust this guy. He's being pretty rude right now. He's being pretty crass. Like, what is this? It's one of these alt-right edgelord internet guys.
Yeah.
Perception changes your perception, does it? Soy sauce changing your perception. Where's soy sauce from?
David Wong.
Hey, how's it going, universe? Welcome to another episode of Goes to the Library and kind of sort of goes to the movies. We'll get into that later, but I'm your host, Shaun. I'm once again joined by the one and only Big Paul. How are you doing, Big Paul?
Doing well, buddy. Thanks for having me.
Oh, I couldn't imagine anybody else to talk about these things with, okay? Not a single goddamn person. Tonight, we're going to be talking about something Big Paul and I decided to kind of go back, right? We've been doing some heavy stuff lately, okay? Cormac McCarthy, Herman Melville. That's some heavy shit.
Heavy.
Those were long, laborious reads that were very rewarding. So we wanted to do something a little lighter, something kind of throwaway, maybe fun. Back in the day, about 12 years ago, Big Paul and I think I recommended this to you, actually.
You did?
We read the book John Dies at the End by David Wong, or Jason Pargin, which is definitely what's on all the books now. Back in the day, this is my original copy that I bought back in like 2010 or whatever. And David Wong. Now they all say Jason Pargin. He wants that notoriety. He's like, okay, that was fun. That was a fun thing. So we decided we would go back and kind of revisit it. It would be a cool thing. It would be an easy one for us. You know, we could kind of get through it in a couple weeks and just have a fun, casual conversation about it. And we don't often talk about a lot of contemporary stuff either. So it's nice to kind of see what's out there sometimes, or reacquaint yourself with something that's out there. I guess this is the second book that we've reread for this.
Yeah.
Didn't we both had read Fight Club, right?
Yep.
Yeah, we read it when we were teenagers, then reread it for that. So this is the second time we've done this. And we're going to talk about it. It's going to be a lot of fun, guys. The book came out in around 2007. It's a collection of Cracked.com articles. He was an editor over there at Cracked.com back in the day. And that's how it was originally released, in chapters on Cracked.com. Then it got collected in like 2004 into a manuscript where they cleaned it up. He added stuff. He kind of probably made it a little bit more coherent. And then in 2007, the book comes out, and it's kind of a successful book. It's pretty popular. A lot of people like it. You know, they end up making a movie about it, like I kind of inferred earlier. We'll talk about that a little bit. And then I kind of randomly came to it. I think actually, do you remember Ryder?
Yeah.
Yeah. He suggested that I pick it up.
Okay.
And I read it back in the day, and I really liked it. I really liked it when I was
early.
Oh,
20s?
dude, has it been longer than 12 years?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. It's been like 14 years. I think I was 22, 23. 23. I was 23 because it was after Alaska. So I was 23, maybe 24 at the latest. And I really enjoyed it. And you really liked it too. You liked it so much that you went out and you got the sequel like right after, and you actually sent it to me. I actually have it right over there. This book is full of spiders.
Yeah. And then
And we didn't even know we didn't know that this is a series of 4. The last book I think came out in
22.
Yeah, 22. Yeah.
And then apparently 25, I don't know if it's the last one, but the latest one will be coming out.
Oh, okay. Okay. So we both really liked it. So revisiting it now, 14 years later, seasoned men.
Mm-hmm.
We've lived a lot of life since then. We've done a lot of growing up.
Yes, sir. We've read a lot of fancy books, a lot of classics.
Yes, we have. Yeah, no, we're becoming experts.
Mm-hmm.
Slowly but surely, we're earning our literary degree here.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
So how did we feel about coming back to John Dies at the End?
Well, it wasn't like revisiting our buddy Chuck's Fight Club. I'll tell you that much right off the bat. I would say there was a bit of a, I know it's like quintessential millennial thing to say, but like really nostalgic for me, like reading it again. So I did enjoy reading it, but like you just alluded to in your opening, like, yeah, you moved on, you grew up, got some life under your belt. Like the first go, like I really enjoyed David Wong's narration and like the whole, just kind of like just angsty fucking young man thing. Now this time around, I just found it like really annoying. And but there's still a lot of times between David Wong and John, some of their interactions and stuff. It still made me chuckle out loud.
Oh, sure, yeah,
for sure. It was still like entertaining, and it was I mean, was it on par with Talon of God? No, but what is?
What is? I mean, this was not written by Dr. Wesley Snipes. So.
No, but maybe we should fix that. Maybe 2025 will be the year where we fix that. Dr. Snipes does everything, but it did no. So I'm going to say I didn't like hate the experience of going back to it. Like I generally enjoyed getting back at it, but the entire time it's just like I know we agreed let's do something light, and I was really pumped. Like, oh yeah, that was great because I had all these memories. Like, yeah, this book.
Yeah, we had good feelings about it. Yeah.
Yeah, but also too, and this is just like my own shit. Like, I did not grow up reading. Shaun was the reader. I was not. And then I made a promise to myself. Like, yeah, I'm going to do more reading, more recreational reading. Now I'm at a point in my life where I have like time to do so. And the whole time I'm just like, I should be reading this fucking other thing right now. I'm gonna do this, but no, I committed to this. I got to do this. I got to watch it. So there's like a few times where I got like not frustrated so much with the book, but just that that I didn't feel like it was the best thing I should be reading right now.
Well, it's also really long. It's like surprisingly long.
It did not need to be that long. And, like redundant. And so like I guess that's what we'll get into. But I mean, I'm sorry, that was like a long way of getting to like I enjoyed it. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't as good as I was, and that's a good thing because just like I don't enjoy blaring Blink 182 anymore, like rereading John Dies at the End wasn't the same experience, and that's okay. It's part of
fair enough. I think that's a good way to look at it. Actually, the Blink 182 like metaphor works very well because it's like if we were to hear like all the small things, we wouldn't like cringe. We wouldn't like. Oh, shut it off. We wouldn't. We'd be like, oh, it's that song. Mm-hmm. And you listen to it and you're like, oh, yeah, I remember that song. I remember listening to that when I was a kid. But you wouldn't have like an animosity towards it.
Right.
So I think I have a little bit more negative feelings about it upon my reread. Okay. I found it very tedious. I found it is like the quintessential millennial story. And this guy's a Gen Xer. I looked up his age because I was like, this is like everything wrong with fucking modern storytelling is kind of in this book. Where it's all concept. It's all just action and plot. The characters are paper fucking thin, which is crazy because of how much time we spend with them. But we spend a lot of time with them doing shit. That doesn't necessarily change anything about them. And in fact, I would say even by the end of the book, they are exactly the same people they were at the beginning of the book. They don't really grow very much at all. They're kind of static. They feel like television characters in that way. Mm-hmm. I thought about this. I was like, this is like, would be a TV show. I can see that. And also it kind of makes sense that this was released in chapters on a website.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you can feel those natural episodic breaks and stuff.
Right.
But because it's shallow and it's overly referential to the point that it has nothing original to say. I mean, like, if even just going to the narration stuff, right? That's Fight Club and American Psycho.
Yeah.
It's like exactly the same, but it has nothing interesting to say other than dick jokes and random edgy tangents that were definitely a thing in 2001.
Right.
Right? You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
So it's like that's the edgelord equivalent of the internet kind of back then. The more kind of a little bit more mainstream, because crack.com was a very popular website. But so it wasn't super edgy. But you could be a little edgier back then. I mean, they use the N-word in this book.
Yeah.
It's actually a plot point at one point too.
Yeah.
So that's it. And I found myself really like frustrated by it. And I was like, I cannot get it up to care about a single fucking thing I'm listening about and reading about. Especially after, I would say this, actually, I'll recontextualize a little bit. I really like the first 100 pages. I think it's a great setup for an adventure.
Mm-hmm.
And then it just keeps doing the same thing over and over again. It never feels like it's actually ever going anywhere. It's not really paced very well. I don't know if maybe that's intentional on the author's part to kind of put you in the apathetic, nihilistic kind of space that those characters exist in.
Right.
Because it's like a youth culture book in a sense, and it kind of examines it a little bit, but it's really more wallowing in it and exalting it.
Right. Like they try to do like the Hardy Boys meets Evil Dead, right? But not as cool. That setup seems rad as fuck, but it wasn't.
And that would be a cool thing if there was anything in the book that everything was so abstract and so random that I just didn't care about any of it. I didn't care that any of it connected either. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I was actually kind of surprised by my reaction because like you, like I said, I had really good feelings about it. I was excited to reread it. Mm-hmm. I was like, oh, sick. I've been wanting to reread this for a couple years just to do it, Right. But I will tell you this, if I had just done that myself and we weren't doing it for this, I wouldn't have finished it.
Right. Yeah, you'd probably make some comment in passing. Oh, I tried to revisit it and I couldn't get through it.
Yeah, once I got to the N-word part, I was like, I'm out.
Oh, it's year what now? Oh my god. But if you also too, it makes sense because if you remember, late '90s, early 2000s, like the pulp culture, like everything was kind of like like too cool for school, don't care, like not.
Oh, very much so. It's very Gen X.
Right. Right.
It's the bridge between Gen X and millennials because this is kind of like something that our people our age read, and we're millennials. Yes. So this is kind of our touchstones. This is like what people graduated to after they read Harry Potter because we live in hell.
Right.
And that's all anybody fucking reads are children's books.
Right.
I mean, which is so fucking inane and awful. But anyways.
Well, you answered one of my questions. Does this inspire you to keep reading the series, especially after the book is full of spiders? So,
actually, yes, it did.
It did. Wow.
It did because I want to see two things. I want to see, does he get better? He's like you had said. In fairness, there are parts that work perfectly well. There's some great sequences.
Yes.
Like it's very cinematic. It almost just feels like a script. Like in a way, because it's all description of action and then just dialogue. There's not a lot of internal monologues.
Right, and I think that's kind of like it lines up with Chris. You're saying earlier too. It's like where it's like choppy and stuff like that because he's really trying to find his voice. Right, if this was like piecemeal together through a series of cracked articles, right, and now he's making trying to make something coherent out of it.
Yeah,
hey, that's a labor effort. Great job. You got going and you got greenlit for a movie and 4 other books to add on to this over the span of 20 years. That's pretty good. So my thing was I am inclined to do it, but there's some other things I want to knock out prior to that. But I probably will continue down David Wong's. I'm sorry, but once a Wong, always a Wong. So,
always a Wong, dude.
I'm gonna, probably.
Don't whitewash this man.
Yeah. Well, plus I have like a really long flight coming up here too, so I probably, why not knock out some of these suckers. So, but yeah, no, but I do want to see that too because you do get hints of like, oh wow, this you use the term like sequences, like yeah, these are some really great parts, and then you're just like, oh god, this is kind of lame, and then like the pacing and it's just use the frame on the private chat or like kill your darlings, and I was never. I never knew that. Just shows you how much I've read or no, but I've never been like that's not a phrase I would commonly use. So what the
Yeah.
fuck? So I looked into that as well. So like all these like heavy hitters and stuff like that, like oh he didn't kill any darlings for this project, put it all
Mm-mm.
together. And so it
And
kind of
that's
kept in there. So I think
yeah,
maybe like as like he progressed on there, I'm interested as well to see like did he evolve unlike David Wong and John throughout the novel? Did he actually evolve as the storyteller with uh, continue to build up this universe a little
yeah, yeah.
more,
It's
get
kind of
more a little more
honestly,
stuff to Korok, and
it would
things
be
like
very
that.
much like I bet you it'll be very much like J.K. Rowling, because I read the Harry Potter books. I'm not even gonna lie, but those books do get better and more mature and better written as they go along. Like she just got better at writing,
Right.
just from doing it.
Mm.
So I bet you, I'm assuming that is the case with these, and I just want to see if he like fleshes these characters out. Like if this is kind of like a prologue to the rest of their adventures, and we can kind of get into the meat, and they'll change a little bit.
Right.
But if they end up just being like static, cool guys, like too cool to care forever, that would get really boring. And I
Right.
would say that's kind of the problem with that. It just becomes repetitive and kind of boring until like something exciting happens and you're kind of reinvested.
Hmm.
But the character stuff is so dead on arrival, like completely dead on arrival. He just did not have a way to kind of round them out at all.
Right. Right. No, I definitely agree with that. And like the way like he wrote like the only female like lead in this one was it Annie?
Amy.
Amy, like just found it just like such like a two-dimensional like damsel in distress, and then all of a sudden out so like we'll see, but again like knowing uh how it was like put together and stuff like that, part passion project, part hobby, like randomly posted online, like maybe this morphs into something cool. I think the general like would you agree? I mean, I think the general like concept and like thought is like pretty interesting enough, even as like an
Yeah,
old
it's
adult to like get into like see what's happening. I like the whole thing with being able to mess with time. I like what's going on, like with
sure.
Rock to. I think that you could do something like and make a
Yes,
mature
I think
decent
if he
story.
develops some things on his, like starts developing more like original things, because this is like an amalgamation of everything that a guy like that has ever watched, read, and seen. You know what I mean? Like that's what it is. He's pulling from John Carpenter movies and The X Files and Ghostbusters,
Yeah, so
and
I actually have a take on that too,
okay,
because part of the theme with the shadow people and the antagonists with Korok and everything, they're always projecting. They haunt the mind. They haunt minds, and they're always showing you like what you think it's going to be. It's like what he's experiencing under this influence of the soy sauce, and everything like that. Is he just pulling these things in there because that's what he's been exposed to through like pulp culture, and
like
that's
a
how he's
like a
like,
meta, yeah, like a meta narrative,
right,
yeah,
right. So like is Bob Marley, right? Was he even like like a
well, that's
Rastafarian?
true.
You know
That's
what I mean?
fair.
So
That's
it's
fair
like
because
kind
it's
of like
about perception. Yeah,
right,
yeah, exactly. You don't know if you're seeing the same thing somebody else is seeing. Yeah,
right, and like what you're describing, it's what you think something like that would be, right? So like I get what you're saying, like pulling from all this other stuff. But I'm just thinking like, well, maybe let's give him like a little credit and just kind of maybe that was like a very subtle like thing like explaining
that's fair. I
this,
think that's a fair suggestion, 100%, because of the meta nature of the book.
right?
You know, because it breaks the fourth wall all the time.
Yep.
So that's definitely a possibility, 100%.
Yeah.
But for me, it was like, how when you're young, or I'm sure you've seen this in your children, they just get excited if they recognize something from something else.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, I know that,
Hmm.
right? That's what this book was for me. It's like, oh, I know that.
Right.
But now I'm 37. And I'm like, okay, all right, I get what you're doing, man. All right,
Right,
okay, I
right.
get it.
Hmm.
I just starts like,
That,
you know,
that's true, but also like late '90s or early 2000s, like social media wasn't what it was today, and like this
dude, no, it
whole
is fair
like
to its time. That's how we
yeah,
all were. We're
yeah.
all like, we're watching Adult Swim shows that are just like this. I
Hmm.
mean, this could be an episode of Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
Well, no, exactly. That's such a great point, and so that's what I'm curious about is like because I don't remember. I remember bits and pieces of this book is full of spiders, but I don't remember much, right? So I don't
Yeah,
know
it's
if
like an
like
alien invasion or something in that
right,
one.
is it going to be like episodic series, right? Is kind of like how the first one read, like like what are you going to build, or is he going to build and like make something, or is there going to be anything in there to like really like chew on, with the story, and because that's like I guess if I don't mind like turning into that, like is it like a surface face value on the surface story about two bros like under happenstance coming under this influence to tie into interdimension fucking monsters, right? Or is like anything really in there? I mean, you can go down a rabbit hole in there, but I didn't really like going through this. There
No,
was a
that's what
lot
I'm
that's
talking. But
kind of
that's
like
what I mean about like it's overly referential because he's like, well, I'm referencing something you kind of recognize, and that's supposed to do all of the heavy lifting. But there's no subtext. There's no coherent subtext in this book at all. Like,
right.
what would it be? It's not even like a deconstruction of a hero's journey. It's nothing like that.
Yeah, I was hoping you'd have something that I missed there. So there goes that. Good night, Zoobox.
No, but like,
Nothing
I
else
mean,
seeing.
I'm trying to think in my mind. I'm like, okay, what is it? Like the importance of loyalty,
It's the
maybe.
soy sauce nihilism. It's the soy sauce, the black pill before it was a black
Oh, the
pill.
soy. You know what the soy sauce actually is? It's spice from Dune. It works almost the exact same way. Um, it gives you prescience.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um,
Limitless.
well, I mean, I don't. I mean, that's. I don't think there's anything to really support that.
Yeah.
Sure, you could throw that in there if you wanted to. I suppose.
No, I guess like because like when you don't have like when nothing's like root anything, right? You're saying that we're going off this meta layer. There's no subtext. You can't read on it. So then, yeah, you can make something out of nothing. Literally, you can take any angle of this, right? With is it just like about being a dude, how it sucks being like a young man in this world, coping with responsibilities and stuff like all like no, and that's plus it's lame, and two
No,
like
it's
that's
not.
like like what is this even about? Are you just supposed to like take it for
No,
it
it's
is?
just no. But that's what I mean. It's just like that's what made it kind of tedious. It's
Yeah,
all action. There's no meat. There's no thought. There's. It
right,
doesn't feel like there's anything laying underneath it. And because of its tangential nature, it doesn't even feel very cohesive because it's
right,
just random. Because they're
right,
like, oh well, I have contrived something where literally anything can happen
right,
for any reason. I can just want it to be there because I
right.
think it's funny or whatever. It doesn't matter if it derails something or takes like the audience's eye off the ball, which is we talked about is he really needed to like edit this down. I would say he could have lost like 120 pages easy, easy.
Yeah,
Honestly, I kind of wish that the book ended with when they meet shortly after they meet Marconi. They go to the hotel.
right. Because like what really, I don't know.
No, because
It just goes on.
if they had done that, then they could have fleshed out all of the other stuff.
Hmm. Yeah,
And you still would have had a cool story because I think that's the best part of the book is like the first 120 pages
right,
because that's
right.
about where that ends. And that's what I was thinking. I was when I watched the. I know you didn't get a chance to, but I watched the movie, and
Well, yeah.
it's
The movie is, and here's the funny thing about that. So as I was like after like over a decade has passed since I've watched the movie, and even longer some when I read the novel. The only thing I can remember, I remembered more about the novel than I did the movie. The only thing I can remember in the movie is that Paul Giamatti was in it. That's
yeah.
all I could remember about the movie. I don't remember a goddamn thing at all. It's like, oh yeah, I'll go do this. Oh yeah, I got some time. I finished this up before Sean, so yeah, I get some time to watch the movie. Totally didn't. Totally didn't. Totally spaced that. But I'm like, but I couldn't remember anything. So how was revisiting the movie?
Well, I saw the movie back when it came out, you know, and I was a fan of the book at the time. I didn't love the movie at the time because it's kind of a bad adaptation in a sense, like because the way that the way they chose to structure it and stuff. It's just it's basically a very faithful adaptation of the first 100 pages ish, and then it's like very choppy trying to get to the end.
Hmm.
Like it cuts out most of it. Like Amy's barely in the movie.
Yeah.
The dog is really barely in the movie. And it has the same problem. It actually kind of underlines the problem with the story in general is that there's just not a lot there. There's just because it's just all of this random stuff.
Right.
That's
Right.
like maybe cool in a vacuum, maybe funny as a tangent, but
Right.
doesn't feel like it's I don't know, there's just something about it. It doesn't feel like it just didn't work. I guess the lack of a better way to put it. And also, you know, in a movie, they probably should have ditched the narration. But if you ditch the narration, that's that's the essence of the way the story is told, right?
Right.
You'd really lose kind of the essence of it. But I don't know, man. I did not like it. I did not like the movie. But I will say this: Paul Giamatti is great in it. He's great in it. Most of the actors are pretty decent. I think it's a pretty well cast movie. You could say that maybe John and David are a little generic, like generic white guys.
Yeah,
You
but
know,
that's how
'cause-
they were written, though. Like so.
Well, John is supposed to be like a pudgy dude. He's supposed to be like me. So yeah, you can't. You know, the guy's too handsome. I'm sorry. Next.
Next. Let's see what you got next.
Yeah, Paul Giamatti was good. What's the? Oh shit! I just had his name. Quincy. Damn it. Oh, I have it pulled up here. Clancy Brown. There it is. Clancy Brown. He's in it. He was really good. He's Marconi in it.
Mm.
I mean, like, there's things just like in the book where you're like, well, in a vacuum, this is all right. Like this sequence works or whatever, you know. And I think the first like 45 minutes of the movie is pretty good because you're like, I remember watching it when it came out, and I was like, oh, this is actually really faithful. I was kind of surprised. It was cool, and I was like, then I looked at the time, and I was like, this only has like 40 minutes left. Like, and they just basically this is the opening act.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Like okay, what's getting cut here? What's getting cut
Because
here?
no, basically it's like they go through those stuff where he gets like goes to the police station and has that conversation with John on the hot dog or whatever, and basically up until they go
Which
to
is
meet
a
Marconi.
hilarious scene in the book, though. That's one of the scenes that just cracked me up.
Yeah,
When he's communicating through the hot dog, he says, "I spent all my money. That hot dog's $3." He's like, "What? Really?"
yeah, that was good. It's actually it plays that whole sequence plays very well in the movie. It's probably it's kind of the best part of the movie is that whole like interrogation and then walk out into the street until he goes back to the apartment.
Right. So, yeah, but yeah. So like, I watched a movie. Didn't enjoy the movie. So I'm glad. I'm just now out of sheer curiosity. I think I'm going to. Get both feet in the water here and commit, and eventually go like check out the rest after a couple of other books I want to get out of the way. And
Yeah, for sure. No, we'll definitely go on that journey together. Because I'm curious. Because I want to be fair. Because
Yeah.
like I said, it's like I do. I have like two minds of it. And one hand, I'm like, well, this is kind of everything wrong with modern writing. And then on the other hand, I'm like, well, it was written in like 2001, and that's just kind of how it was then. And he was he was like a current guy. Like he was wrapped up in that comedy world, that kind of alternative, the rise
well,
of
if he was on
alternative
crack,
comedy.
if it's on crack.com, I mean, that was probably his experience. His space, like it makes more sense. I think about it. The more sense it makes when I think about it. So
Yeah, he used to write. He wrote like satirical articles and shit like that. That's what he was doing. David Wong, that was his pseudonym.
yeah, yeah. That's cool, man. Like the just kind of going through it because and I know it's a dick. Is like no modern person wants to be compared to anybody famous, and like at the risk of sounding snobby, it's just like we just did Blood Meridian and Moby Dick, and stuff like that. Like Ishmael going on a crisis, spiraling about the thought of whiteness and all the theatrics involved in descriptive narration and like all these like classics. They just go in there like my dick had a dick, it'd be bigger than yours. And I'm just like, what the fuck am I doing? What the fuck
Oh
am I
yeah.
doing? I'm supposed to be a red man now. I'm supposed to be. But it was, and
Dude,
then
I had
also too, because like, well, man, like I had some friends like give me oh, you gotta check these books out, and they're like young adult fantasy books. I'm like, and just reading, I'm like, all right, I trusted you, I trusted
dude,
you,
it's a
dude.
fucking sickness,
Yeah,
Paul.
yeah,
It's a
yeah.
sickness. Everybody's literacy rates are just dropping by their own volition.
Yeah, very much,
What do you
very
do?
much
Oh,
self.
I read magazines and children's books.
Hmm. Yeah.
Oh,
Or they'll read somebody's take on a book too, or watch somebody's take on a book. And so unless if it's the Zuboc's take, that's just not fair to yourself. That's just not fair to yourself. But yeah, man, like I was really curious like in this. I'm like, because after I finished the book, let it breathe a little bit, think about it. I was just like,
there's nothing to think about.
what the fuck are we going to talk about? Like what joke did you like the best? Or like, was that cool how they didn't care about going in at the end of the book when they went into another alternate reality, and then they just completely shit that universe, and then came out and these other kids came in and fixed it. Like, is that cool? Like what are you what was even that about? Like I even went through like think like what was that about? The passage of time, about how like it being ready for the moment, and how your moment could be saving the world or just playing basketball. It doesn't matter because fate's going to have its own out. It's going to have its outcome. Like there wasn't anything you could do. Maybe you could have done something with that. I don't know, but all I know is that it was something light, and it fit the bill. And even though it
Oh,
wasn't
dude,
the talent of
I
God,
had a no, but I had like a very similar reaction when I was reading it. I was like, I just read Moby Dick, and now I'm reading this.
I just read
Dude, I felt like I had been like,
the
I
spermaceti was
stepped.
still wet off my fingers.
Yes, the dry ocean winds.
And I pick up this. John dies at the end, bro,
I
and he
did.
doesn't
I
even
felt
die at
like
the
I was
end.
a
What the
king who
fuck?
had. I was like a king who had like abandoned his kingdom. Out
Yeah,
here with some fucking trash. It's just so beneath me now.
yeah,
I'm like I know I should have pushed that Dostoevsky book. I know I should have pushed it. Now
dude.
I'm here reading John dies at the fucking end.
It was
This
a fun.
Wong
It was a
character.
fun read. It was a fun read. I think anything you read after Moby Dick is just not fair to whoever you're reading, right?
No, of course not.
Anything you read after Cormac McCarthy, it's not going to be fair to whoever you're reading, right? Like,
Yeah, we literally had to go to Herman Melville
yeah,
to find the next guy that could stand there on that mountain.
yeah, yeah. Who could follow McCarthy? Well, Melville. This Melville guy. Some people said some nice things about him. So yeah, go check that out. But you know what? Like, I fucking read the first three books of Red Rising before I tapped out. I'm like, this is too retarded. So I was like, you know what? And I generally like my young 20-year-old self generally love this. So I think as committed to that, like I will continue to do this. It won't be my priority, but I will commit to the bit of finishing this series. And plus, I like he has one of the books in this series is called if you see this book, you're in the wrong timeline. And like
Yeah.
I like that shit. I do, and I generally like am interested enough in the world that he built. Like, and John dies at the end. Like I am generally I like it. I
Yeah.
find it generally
I think I think you could say that there is potential here. There's
yeah,
potential, right? This is a good like opening if salvo. I wish it was shorter. I wish it was like 250 pages,
yeah,
honestly. And
yeah,
I think cuz if it just went faster, it would just be better.
yeah,
Um and cuz like I said, I don't think he's a bad writer by any stretch of the imagination. I just think he needs, character work. Learn how to kind of round out somebody's psychology. Let me know who they are beyond like a caricature a little bit.
right, exactly.
So I can invest in them, so I can care about them. It just feels like author insert. Like, yeah, this is my attitude, dude. I'm fucking cool,
Mhm.
and you get a
Yeah,
little that smugness comes off, and I know that's part of the bit. That's part of the character. I get
right.
it.
The book would have been like a great like short like TV series. You know what came to my mind while I was reading this was, did you ever watch Future Man? Like Seth Rogen,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, I did.
It's like the same vibe, where it's going to pull off of
Yeah.
like pulp culture from, everywhere. But
Yeah.
even those characters had an arc. Like, even there was development. Like Wolfgang, man, dude, like the best side character in a comedy in the history of comedies. Like I would watch that series again just to watch his 1980s like arc. That whole story was just like pure, like it was hilarious. And the guy, props to you, are bad on me for forgetting your name, sir. But that was the best. Nobody could do that role but you. Like, that was great. But I'm just like, it was like the same energy of this, but just not as succinct as Future Man, right? But
Yeah.
this would have made it good, because if you want to make like, hey, turn your brain off and enjoy this comedy series, then this would have worked out great. This would have great. But
Well,
like reading
actually,
it, reading it though, what?
dude, the whole time I was reading it, I was like, oh, I can't believe this isn't like a Netflix series or something.
Yeah, well, maybe it will, dude, because they're running out
I
of
mean,
ideas.
because it's kind of like the perfect kind of Netflix thing.
Mm,
This is like very much in line with the kind of shit they make.
yeah. Well, I mean, they did Three Body Problem. Why the fuck can't they do this? Maybe they will, man. Because I'm telling you, man, they're like the industry is reaching. There are remakes upon remakes, all this other shit,
Oh
man.
my god,
Why
it's a
not?
nightmare. It's
Why not?
dire out there, Paul. Dude. I've been trying to go to the movies more, so I've been trying to get a little me time, get out of the house a little bit more.
Hmm.
And dude, I can't even find movies to like go see that I have any interest at all.
Yeah,
And
that's
tickets are too expensive for me to be like, well, I'll just go see this movie I don't want to watch. Like I
right.
can't do that.
No, you
But
gotta want to.
the landscape is so dire out there. It's just nothing.
Yeah.
I Most of the movies I go see are like re-releases of old movies. That's what I end up most of the time going to see.
Well, that's still cool though. That's still not.
It is cool. It's cool as
That's a
fuck. Let me tell you what.
good night out in the world of Sean Deegan. That
It
sounds
is
like
actually,
that sounds
yeah.
like a perfect night, actually. Get like a good dinner,
Hey,
couple drinks, and go
listen,
watch a classic on the big screen.
listen.
Fuck.
It's not cool to call your friend a loser. Okay, it's not.
How and what? How did you take loser out of that?
No,
How?
it's cool. Like my
How?
friend, like yeah, dude, just go by yourself and just go see a movie and then go eat dinner by yourself.
Yeah. Well, Sean, I was the social one. I was the social one.
You were the
I
social
brought it
one,
down. I
yeah.
brought it down.
Like I have an
I was the
extroverted
John. I
side.
was the John to your Wong. Okay, I was the John
No,
to David
oh,
Wong. And
1000%.
you
All the
know,
fucking problems you brought my way.
adventures. You mean adventures? You mean that made you grow?
Yes,
So there
adventures.
you go. You're
Yeah.
welcome. You're
Now
welcome.
I'm a more
David Wong never
well-rounded
thinks
person.
John either in the novel. So this makes sense on a meta level. This makes sense.
Yes, yes.
Sure does. Sure does. But yeah, man. But no, like underwhelming revisit, but still glad I did. If that makes any
Yeah.
sense, if you still like drive out of that, it's
I know
so
I came in really hot. I came in real hot. But like I mean all of my criticisms I think are completely valid. I think they're completely fair. And I think you know what? I have a feeling David Wong himself would probably agree with a lot of what I said.
well. Who doesn't like cringe at their early shit? Well, no
Of
matter
course
what it.
that's what I mean. But that's
Uh,
what I'm saying. Like, I'm sure as a seasoned writer now, hopefully, God, hopefully, he's better. And he was like, yeah, there's a lot of problems. That book has a ton of problems, dude. Yes, it does.
mhm.
you
Yeah.
know? Although all of his books, the titles, even the ones that like are not in this universe, like he has a couple of them. Futuristic Violence in Fancy Suits. Little cringe title there. And this one is really cringe. Zoe is too drunk for this dystopia.
There you go.
We're gonna have a story about just a hip 26-year-old wino. That's just too fucking cool for it all, dude. How much you want to bet she sounds a lot like David Wong?
Yeah. With what's that chick's name? That she was in. She's been Julian Garofalo.
Janine Garofalo.
Janine Garofalo. How much you bet is just like a just like a highlight reel of like her energy in like the not Ben,
Yeah.
like Ben Stiller film. Is it Mystery Men?
Mystery Men, yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be
Yes.
it's going to be
There you
like that.
go. That's perfect.
It's going to
That's
be like
perfect.
that, but a wino, and then going through this like, oh god.
Well, I hope he's not that kind of, because some writers this book has this problem, so we'll see how it develops. But all of the characters just sound like David Wong,
Mm,
or they sound very plain, like they don't have like a lot of personality to them.
right.
You know what I mean? They don't feel like they're distinct voices. They just feel like all his voice. You
Sure.
know? And
No,
I'm
that's
just saying,
fair.
David,
That's
shape
fair.
up,
Yeah, that's fair.
shape
But
up.
maybe like they're getting older. David Wong gets, engaged at the end of the first book, so maybe I don't know. Maybe we grow with the story, man. Who knows? So
Just
I'm
like
down.
a
I'm
young,
signing up. I'm signing up to find out. I'm signing up to find out.
like a young Harry Potter. He
Hmm.
grew into a man that killed that wizard.
Exactly, dude.
And
Exactly.
that's what's going to happen to David. He's going to grow into the man that probably kills God. I mean, we're going to go down some sort of weird, secular, fetishistic rabbit hole with this sick fuck.
Yeah.
And these guys, this is what they want to do. They want to kill nature. They want to kill God. Maybe that's what this was all about, really. When they go into that other dimension and they blow those people up,
Hmm.
murder them,
Hmm.
murder them.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, just one last thing before I let you go. Like, what the fuck is Korok? What is Korok? And
That's just a
this
fucking Lovecraftian
right,
beastie.
right.
And then
So
he
it's
and
like,
he thinks you know that, and he's just like, "That's what it is. It's one of those."
hmm and trying to just even like reaching in for like some death. What is he facing? Why is he so crass? Why is he like one of the villains' name is Shitload because there's a shitload of us tiny demons in it, right? Which like I remember laughing when initially read that from years ago. Yeah, like it's memorable. It's a memorable book. There's a
Sure.
lot that like gets rid of memories in it too. But like you get as old, just like the Blink 182 thing at the top of this recording was just kind of like it doesn't hit the same way. But just in there like what the fuck the deal? Like what's the deal with Korok here? Like
Dude, you know what
what does this
actually
mean? And so like
I don't think it
and
means anything. He's
you're
like, it's
right.
a cool Lovecraft creature.
Outside of the surface. So that was the underwhelming part of revisiting it. The nice part was it was something light. Even reading something like this is still better than doom scrolling or whatever. And always too like we're gonna talk about it. So like
Exactly. And there's
it's
always something to talk about, even if it's to kind of examine its negative qualities, right?
hmm
Oh, you know what though? This actually reminded me a lot of
what's that?
Jaihu's Trip to the Future, Sam Hyde's book. It's very much this kind of book where it's just like crazy random shit that's just there kind of for jokes.
Hmm.
It's like a gag factory.
I
But
didn't read it.
it's all like red pill references, like, Joe Rogan's in it.
Yeah, I didn't read it, but I felt like I did when you and Dan did that.
Oh, dude, I'll send you the audiobook.
Yeah, give that.
Read by Sam Hyde. No, you would get locked into that. It's pretty funny.
Oh.
Because it's supposed to be. You know who did something like this, like Jaihu, but made it coherent, made it like a story? Was Norm Macdonald. But it has that same Odyssey episodic, but there's a through line, there's a theme,
Mm-hmm.
there's a character.
R.I.P. Norm. Man, that was great.
Oh, actually, it makes me want to listen to the audiobook again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So good.
Remember, 1.5 speed. That sounds like young Norm Macdonald.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I just the prison chat when he's in prison. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Go
What
check it
a
out,
book.
Tupac.
Yeah, check out our episode of that. Don't read John dies at the end. Go read was it based on a true story?
Yeah.
Go read that and then go watch our episode. You'll love it. It's a love fest. We even talk about dirty work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we did.
Yeah. Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. All right, well, I think that's going to do it for us tonight. I think we're all wonged out. Apologies. I had to. Come on.
He's a dad. He can make jokes if he wants to.
That's what I say.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I say, pal. All right, everybody. Have a good day, good night, and we'll see you next time. Whatever that's going to be.
True passionate hate for Fred Durst. Which,
I mean, it's... Sorry. I don't even remember what I was going to say.
Me neither.
Shit.